Hello everyone. After we have uploaded several videos showing how to find entry points, today we will talk about stop loss and take profit in a simple way, because stop loss is the stage that comes after finding entry points. Well, a stop loss depends on three things. 1. Time frame. For example, trading on a daily or weekly chart is very different from scalping on 1 or 5 minutes. 2. Downtrend and uptrend. They also have an impact on the places to stop loss and take profit. The third and most important point is the psychological factor and the level of patience. For example, greed and fear. Well, there are many ways to do this, but let's start with the easiest one, with the moving average indicator. After applying it to the chart, let's open its settings to make some adjustments. And as usual, I have to increase the thickness and color to be visible in the video. But the most important is the inputs, so let's change the length to 20. Well, I guess it's easy so far, and this is what the moving average indicator looks like, with 20 length settings. But the important question remains, how can we use it to stop loss? Well, let's say we're going to use this candle as an entry point. And let's go back in time with the replay tool, so we can be in line with the candles. As you can see, this candle is our entry point, and below it, we can see the moving average line, and this is what is important now, because according to where the moving average is located, at this moment, we will place our stop loss. This means that the stop loss will be here below the yellow line that we drew, but it is always better to be a little below it. Now let's use the take profit and stop loss tool, and apply it to the chart. Well, we have set the stop loss according to the moving average, but how do we define the take profit area, because there is definitely no moving average here. Taking profit depends on several factors, including the support and resistance lines, the uptrend and downtrend, the liquidity that was pumped at the time of purchase, and also the indicators of the strategy you are using. But now, let's talk about the simplest of them, which is the previous top. The previous top is the maximum price that has been reached in the recent period, and it can be used to divide the next take profit area, or what is known as the first target. In this case, the take profit will be the first target, and it will be according to the previous high, as we drew the yellow line. Well, above the green area, you will find the percentage of profit. In the middle, you will find the entry price, and at the bottom, you will find the percentage of loss. Now, let's run the player and see what happens. Here will be the first profit area, which called the first target. And it was according to this top. Well, let's run it more and see. It seems that there is a new target, but the question is, how can we locate it? There are several ways to determine the second target, and the simplest of which is by drawing a trend line. And in this case, take the profit will be at this point, which is the second target. Well, now let's take another different example, which does not depend on the highest top. Let's say this candle is our entry point, and yes, it is not a good entry point, but I deliberately look for these points, so that the examples are somewhat practical. As you can see here, all the nearby tops are in the same line. And I can't find a high top to rely on to take profit. In this case, I will move a little, and search for the nearest area with points of support and resistance, and this long candle here may show us this area quite simply. As for the stop loss, it will be slightly below the moving average line, as we said earlier. Well, let's see it quickly, so we can move on to the third example. As we have seen, we were able to set the take profit, and also the stop loss was in a good position. Okay, in this example, let's say we entered from this point. As we said, we will place our stop loss just below the moving average line. And the first target will be at the nearest top. Now, let's place a take profit and stop loss orders and run the player. As you can see, the stop loss was very good in this example, and instead of waiting and losing a lot, we exited early. And here, we will take a different example in order to take the profit correctly. Well, let's say that in this area we found an entry point, according to one of the indicators we use, but we do not see any tops, we do not see resistance or support lines, all there is an empty chart. So, how can we determine the target in this area? How do we take the profit? In this case, we will rely on drawing the trend line, and you can find in the previous videos how to draw it simply. And the target will be somewhere here. Now, let's set the stop loss, and I think you don't need to explain it further, because it has become one of the easy things. Let's go back to taking the profit, and let's put the first target area as well. Here, the target point must be opposite the entry point, and it must be at the trend line in order to ensure that we sell correctly. Finally, let's put the stop loss and take the profit orders, and let's play the chart. As you can see, here, we took the profit. And also the stop loss was in a good position. Well, now let's see another example in case there is a downtrend. In this case, we cannot rely on the moving average to determine the stop loss, because as you can see, it is above the candles. For this, we will rely on candle wicks that are close to the entry point, because most candles with long wicks have strong support. Well, let's put this into practice, and let's say I find a good entry point on this candle here. As you can see, there is no moving average here, so we will use the wick of the nearby candles to set the stop loss. Try to choose the longest wick and then draw the line under it. Now, this line represents the exit and stop loss points. But what about taking a profit? And how can we find it here? Here we can find the profit area in several ways, including drawing a downtrend or a resistance line, but I prefer it to be according to the large candles like these candles here and here. Also like these candles here. In this example, we can rely on the top of this candle. Also, we can rely on the moving average location, but this time, to determine take profit. Well, let's set the profit line. And don't forget, always be satisfied with a little profit, especially when there is a downtrend. And always, place the first target and stop loss just below the line you drew. Well, let's set the profit and loss tool to see this in action. Here, the profit will be slightly below the line, and here, the stop loss will also be slightly below the line. Alright, let's run it and see. As you can see, for this reason, the stop loss should be placed a little below the line in order to avoid a fake breakout. As for here, we will take the profits according to the line that we drew above the candle that we chose in advance. The last thing that we will talk about quickly is the method of determining profit points and stop losses through Fibonacci levels. Well, let's say this candle is our entry point. When setting Fibonacci levels, you must define your trading area according to the time frame that you use. In our case, we use a 4-hour frame, so a period of a week or 10 days will be good. Also, you must search for the lowest bottom and the highest top so that you can rely on it in setting levels. Well, let's set Fibonacci levels by using the Fibonacci tool from this bar. Now, let's apply it from the bottom to the top that we selected earlier. As we said, this candle is the entry point. And here, at this level, we will place a stop loss. And don't forget, always a little under it. Here, we can divide the profit, the first target, the second, and so on. Well, let this level be the first target. Now, let's set our stop loss and take profit and see what happens. This is good because Fibonacci levels are one of the powerful indicators for predicting candlestick positions and trend movement. So if you like the video and you want more about Fibonacci levels, please let me know in the comments. But before we finish this video, there are some things that you should do before diving into the sea of stop loss and take profit. First, learn to read candles, at least the basic ones. Second, drawing trend lines, and you will find a simple video explaining this in the previous videos. Third, drawing support and resistance lines, as we have previously explained. Finally, defining the entry point well and dividing the capital and profits. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Good luck.